You must be healing and you don't even know about it. So, here are 8 phases of healing that you are going through and you may not even realize. And trust me, healing is supposed to be messy, healing is supposed to be out of this world kind of experience, and healing is supposed to be something that makes you cry. But it's important because your future self will thank you for it, trust me. And life will be way much better if you heal. Okay, so here are 8 phases that I wish every human with a freaking brain should know. So hi ladies and the other gender, today we're talking about 8 phases of healing. I don't know how many times I've said that, but I'm saying that again. Let's get started. The first phase is a catalytic event. For some people, it should be as drastic as losing a relationship, losing a job, losing a person in their life, the grief of a losing pet, or something like that. For some people, it could be as subtle as seeing your old friend or spilling a coffee in the morning, a drastic change in the present that makes you question what you are doing in your life, or something big that leaves you shatter. So that's how healing starts. Like, there should be a catalytic event and you won't even realize it most of the time. Sometimes it's so subtle and sometimes it's drastic. Like in my case, there's so many subtle, there were subtle events, and subtle events are not many noticeable. Like, I lost my pet, so that was a big event for me, and that actually was big mark. I should not talk about myself, but yeah, you got the gist. And I have a quote for it here, right? Regardless, life almost never changes for better unless a disruptor is present, something that makes us question and dare to change our own status. So yeah, there should be someone to catalyst in chemistry we studied, right, in 8th standard. So yeah, there should be a catalyst in your life too. Okay, that's the phase one, that a catalyst event will occur. Then you go to phase two. Okay, that's you are forced out of denial. Like, there is, like they say, there are phases of grief, right? There's anger, then denial, then acceptance, and whatever. I don't remember the sequence, but yeah, this is something. Okay, so then you're forced out of denial, and you will like, forced, how am I forced out of denial? So certain situations in your life will occur when you will realize that, yeah, things are really going bad. Like, yeah, like, anyways, something will happen that will push you out of denial. Like, sometimes, for example, that's a very basic example, that you are in a relationship and it ended, and that's my kind of thing. So what you will do is you will stay in denial. You won't accept that that relationship is actually ended. Your brain won't accept that that thing has actually happened. Or for example, you lost a job or something like that. But remember this, that nothing in your life leaves without a purpose. Okay, the only thing that matters is we accept the truth that it ended. Okay, you have to accept that the certain things have to end for the certain things to start. Okay, there have to be an end for another thing to start, so you have to accept it. So you will be forced out of denial, and you might be in denial right now, so I am forcing you, get out of your denial, accept it, and move on. Okay, then we'll reach to our third phase, when we have catalytic event has occurred and we have moved out of denial. Then what happens is you will be so angry and so fearful, and like, there's so much sudden change happening in your life, that either you will get angry for a person. Like, I'm taking breakup as an example because that's a very common thing that happens. Okay, or a job loss, something, or a person lost, like when you lost a person to death, you become fearful. Fear crawls into your heart, or anger, like, why me, god? Like, you start blaming everyone around you, like, why me, why do I have to do this? And it's okay, anger is just a part, or your bodyguard is trying to protect you, but you have to understand that you have to accept that, and you have to validate that anger for a while, and you have to let go of it. Okay, it's very important to let go. We can't let anger and fear consume us, and it's okay to feel angry. Okay, so that brings us to the fourth point, that You begin to process old emotions and memories, right? Sometimes we don't even realize things happened with us, okay? Why this happens? Because certain things are so subtle in your life, but they leave a big impact when you compound interest them. So for example, one day you lost a friend which was very dear to you, but you don't realize at that moment because you have so many friends around you. But after a few years or something, you will realize that that actually affected me a lot, but I never reflected on it. Or for example, when your first relationship breakup was happened, and then you started jumping from relationships to relationships and relationships to relationships, you never thought about it, that why did it happen, right? And that gave you a certain bad beliefs about yourself, or certain things that you never healed from, that resulted in having these adulthood unhealed part of yourself. So when you start on your healing journey, the first thing you will realize is you will start processing those old emotions. You may go back to certain people that you shouldn't. Okay, so it's okay to because there is a thing that I always say, that emotions often remain with us until and unless they tell us what they are trying to do. If not with the same person, with different people, the cycle will keep on repeating until unless you get the lesson out of it. Okay, you have to acknowledge how loved you were, you have to acknowledge how hated you were, and you have to acknowledge every emotion until and unless they tell you what they are trying to. Okay, and when you will journal it out and figure everything out, and you will process your old emotions, you will feel light as a feather. You have to let everything go out, okay? And when you do it, you will feel very good. Okay, you have to let everything go out and not hold grudges, and you have to process it, because if you don't process it, they will stay with you until you don't process it. After you processed all your emotions, then you will get a glimpse of a better path. When you got all the lessons from your past, now your universe will guide you towards your future self. God will guide you towards the person you ought to become. Okay, so after you forgive yourself for your past mistakes, you will get the glimpse of the person you could be. Okay, so for you to become that person, you will feel like success is around the corner. I can feel it. Something is ought to happen. You will get this gut feeling that something good is ought to happen, and trust me, all you have to do is step up. Yeah, you have to leave all these things behind, and once you do everything, healing and everything, you just have to step up. You just have to take the first step. Just take the first step, and you will get a clear image of what you really want to be in your life, and that's the best feeling ever. Then comes the phase number 6. That is, there will be subtle changes. You will start making small adjustments in your life. It won't be major, like you will just change the way you style your hair. It will be like the way you carry yourself. It will be your posture. It will be so many things, that subtle changes, not big leaps or something. They can be, but there will be small adjustments that you will make, that will resonate with your future self. Like you will start going on running, or like I know my future self is very good at communicating, so I will try to communicate with as many people as I can, so that she is becoming me and I'm becoming her, vice versa kind of situation. Okay, so you have to make these small adjustments, and then you have to take the big leap. Finally, when you have adjusted and visualizing your best version of yourself, and everything is going great, and now you don't have your past, you have to take the big leap. You have to do the things that you have to do in order to become her, or him, if you him are watching. So you have to take a big leap. Okay, and finally those little adjustments will compound into you becoming her. Get out of your comfort zone, you have to take the big leap. So out of a sudden you will get a novel idea, or you will get something like for example, in your fifth phase, when you were getting a glimpse of your better path and you got a novel idea, This is the phase you will be executing it. You will be writing your novel, like when you were making small adjustment, you were writing few chapters, right? This is the phase where you will, reach out to the people where you can get the novel published. So for example, if you got a future glimpse of you becoming a content creator and making an impact in the society. That's me. So in small adjustments, you try to make yourself comfortable with using camera, and this, in the seventh step, you take the big leap, you start your YouTube channel. So this is a phase where you take the big leap, okay? And you will realize that this existed all along, this was always there, but you just never realize it. Like, it was always waiting for you, and you just feel it from inside that, yeah, this is something that I'm meant to be. This is something that's made for me. And once you get this feeling, stuck with it. Like, literally stuck with it. After you're done with your trial and error, you will feel like, this is what I actually want to do with my life. This is the impact that I want to make in this world, okay? That brings us to this eighth phase, the most important phase, that you see the purpose in the pain. I'll read something for you. Finally, you're past the breakthrough and into the life. If you are one of the very lucky ones, you have made it far enough to understand that there was a purpose in all of this, especially the most uncomfortable moments. Like, those breakups, those crying nights, the loss of the job, the loss of the person, they were all trying to guide you into this version of yourself, into this person that you've become. To be honest, if I haven't lost those people, then I wouldn't have discovered myself. I wouldn't have discovered my passion for speaking to the camera and reading books or so many certain things. And I wouldn't have found so many good friends and so many things in my life if I haven't, gotten those breakups or friendship breakups or loss of those people. If I wouldn't have grieved them and learned so many things out of it, I wouldn't be here. So you will see the purpose, and trust me, I don't know in what phase you are in, but trust me, at the end of this cycle, everything will be so crystal clear that you will feel like you were always meant to be here. Like, destiny cannot be denied, okay? Destiny is always written, and you may make your own destiny. And I really, really hope that you are not hoping for a bad destiny. Everybody wants a good life, right? And there's another thing that I think perhaps you will find peace in it. And I think that's the purpose of life, to find peace while living. Okay? And before going, I just want to share a quote with you that maybe you will realize that your emotions are nothing to be afraid of, because the storm often clears the sky and waters the seed for life and planning to actually live all along. You just needed a little nudge. You just needed a little nudge. And this is the little note that I wrote for myself, is you would have not founded yourself if you didn't lost them. And from this, I conclude today's video. And I read books, so you don't have to. And I'll see you next week with another video. And just remember that healing is ought to be messy. You don't have to be someone else. You just have to heal and become the best version of yourself, and just get the term of success that you want to, and make your parents proud, and most importantly, you make yourself proud, and you make the 4-year-old of yourself proud, and you make 80-year-old of yourself proud. Why am I so fumbling so much? I don't know. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Signing off. Bye bye.